All right, welcome in this year's edition of CentralStar's Beef Webinar. Glad to have everybody aboard. Got some pretty outstanding guests here to be able to pick their brain on some questions and hear what they have to say about some of the genetics coming up. So I'll go ahead and I'll start with Dan. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Dan Bush with CentralStar Inc. Serve as the beef reproduction research specialist, but also work with CentralStar's member cooperative on the direct sales side in Northeast Missouri and manage Missouri, Illinois.
All right, thanks, Dan. And next, we'll go over to Ryan.
Thanks, Adam. Yeah, Ryan Bodenhausen. I help head up our acquisition and marketing for CentralStar Inc. Was telling them just a little bit ago, just got home from bull tour a week long in North Dakota. And so just got home from that. And so I guess I'll be talking about some of the bulls here in a little bit. I reside in Kansas. Spent the first part of my career in indirect sales, and then have been in the beef department for going on 4 years now. Have a little herd of Simmental cows on the side. That's what keeps me busy when I'm not gone and traveling.
All right, thank you, Ryan. Scott Elevald is another gentleman we're supposed to have on here. He is the area sales manager and beef specialist for Wisconsin. Lives up in the northwestern portion. He was still traveling and maybe having some connection problems. But then I'm Adam Wood, area sales manager here in Central Michigan. I'm also a beef specialist too. So any of the questions that usually come in about any of the genetics or anything from Indiana and all of Michigan usually end up coming to me. So yes, with that, we can roll into Ryan, if you'd like to talk about a few bulls.
Okay. Yep, I'll share my slides here. We're only going to talk about a few to try to keep this kind of brief and allow plenty of time for questions at the end, but we'd be glad to answer any specific questions on some other bulls that we don't talk about. We just picked a handful to kind of highlight. All right, a couple quick slides before we talk about specific bulls. This one I like to start off with, and this is something we're kind of proud of. To have quite a few of the breed leaders for registrations in several of the most prominent breeds, and starting with Red Angus, where we had 4 of the top 6 all reside at Select Sires. We only have one Gelbvieh bull, but he is the number 2 heavy use sire within the Gelbvieh breed for 2025. Then moving over to Angus, for the 3rd year in a row, we had the number 1 registration sire, and actually 2nd year in a row for Keneally Craftsman. But it wasn't just him, did have 6 of the top 15 there as well. And so we're pretty excited about that. And thank you to everybody that's on here that used those genetics and helped make that possible. Another slide here, sex semen. This is something that this lineup or product line has grown in popularity immensely over the last 4 years since I've been at Select Inc. We've grown by about 300% of beef sex semen. Now, that sounds extremely large, but that's still a pretty small percentage of overall units in the big picture of things. But with that, we're continuing to expand the offering to meet that demand. If I would have shared this slide with you 4 years ago, we would have had maybe 10 bulls on here, and we've expanded that to almost 30, depending on availability and things like that. But so just something to kind of take note of, and that we're trying to expand that to meet that demand. All right, talk about a couple of Angus bulls. The first 2 that kind of lead off, by the way, these few slides that we have are in order. If you do have a directory and wanting to follow along, you can. The first two in the book, Pursuit and Cornhusker, I like to talk about these bulls kind of in tandem as they were kind of our premier acquisitions last spring in 2025. And the first one, Pos Pursuit, is a Schiefelbein Gable out of a Compass Daughter, out of a Capitalist 028, which some of you may be pretty familiar with the Capitalist 028 and Compass. Both those were bulls that were in accelerated select lineup for quite a while. But the Gable line's been pretty popular. That bull, about the same time that this bull sold, had got injured. Semen's getting a little hard to get a hold of. There was kind of a backlog, and so we're pretty fortunate to have Gable's, maybe Gable's best son in our lineup. This is a bull that offers kind of a complete package of phenotype, maternal, and EPDs and actual performance. His dam is super impressive. I got to see her again a couple of weeks ago out on Cornstalk. She's 9 years old, perfect footed, really good uddered, and just an ideal cow. It posted several impressive weaning ratios um, as well. And so we like the fact that he's backed up by a really impressive cow. But phenotypically, you just love this sire in terms of his density. He's moderate frame, but he's really thick, really deep, and really good footed. So he combines a lot of those different physical traits all into one package. Then if you study him on paper, he's just really well balanced. He's maybe not extreme in a lot of categories, but he's pretty well balanced in terms of calving ease, and then he is kind of an outlier for growth. Really good foot scores, really good maternal traits and terminal traits as well. Kind of fluctuates week to week, but I think he is the number $1 M bull in our lineup. And so this is a bull that's getting a lot of use, a lot of purebred and commercial use at this point. A bull that'll probably be pretty popular and a top seller, and probably on that top registration list in the next year or two. Okay, moving on to Cornhusker. This is a bull that very similar to Pursuit. Is backed by a very proven cow. She's an 8-year-old Niagara daughter that's done her job in terms of bringing home large calves at weaning. So we like that predictability and proven dam that backs this bull up. But he also offers just a little different twist on that pedigree being a culmination. So it's a little different pedigree for us at Select Sires. Probably a little different than Pursuit though. This bull is a larger frame bull. He's a 6 to 6.25 frame, so he'll add just a little more frame. But with that, this bull still has a lot of mass, a lot of depth of body, very structurally correct. He's really long and level in his hip, and just love the overall outline and power and performance that he brings physically. And then when you study him on paper, very similar to Pursuit, he's pretty well balanced. He ranks near the top of the breed or the top 25% of the breed for just nearly every trait. He is kind of a spread bull there of being a 13 calving east to over a 148 yearling. Bull that offers also pretty balanced maternal traits, but this is a bull that offers maybe just a little more carcass value than Pursuit, being over a point for marbling and a point for ribeye, and he balances up pretty nice for all of his indexes. The other thing about this bull is we purchased him in March, and then in May, the Angus Association did a rolling update for their economic values, and this was one of the big winners through that change. He went from about a 350 on dollar C to almost 390 because of those traits that he offers that contributes to that. Okay, shifting gears just a little bit. I think the next couple of Angus bulls we're going to talk about are calving ease bulls and pretty proven calving ease bulls. And the first one is Keneally Restore, and this is probably no matter what you're kind of looking at. This is one of my favorite bulls in our lineup because I love this bull physically. He's very attractive. He's very stout. He's big footed. He's got a lot of extra muscle, a lot of extra density. This bull also is a bull that gains weight at stud even on a maintenance diet. So I think the fleshing ability can be there as well. But just love the bull physically. The calf reports are excellent. They come easy, but they have good vigor to them, but have a little more substance to them as well for a calving ease sire. And then you kind of study him for the other traits. He's still well above breed average for growth, good foot scores, really good maternal traits. And he's kind of one of those bulls that has that balance of being over $100 M and $100 C. And so I think this is one of those bulls you can use on heifers to get something more than just a live calf. They've got a lot of extra value there in terms of kind of in product, but also of maternal value. Okay. Another one to talk about is Easy Decision, and I think this is maybe one of Adam's favorite bulls, and so he wanted me to talk about this bull, and this is a bull we're very fortunate to have in our lineup. He's kind of in the go-to calving ease bull, coming out of the Coleman program. That's, as most of you may know, is a very maternal-driven program. This bull is actually double-bred Donna. He's got Donna on both sides of his pedigree. She's kind of been the matriarch of that program, and just really love the maternal power that this bull has. He is calving ease. He does have a little. He's got good modest growth, really good foot scores. He's got a bull in his pedigree called Charlo. That was a bull that Accelerated had. Love the females, love the phenotype, but they could be just a little harder to handle from a docility standpoint. We get to inject Charlo in this pedigree without that docility issue. There's more docility here to go along with that, and so this is one of those bulls that you can use as a calving ease bull to create those ideal females and improve udder quality and maternal ability. Okay, gonna skip ahead to talk about a couple Simmental bulls real quick. The first one I want to talk about is Dutton, and this is a bull that, as we go into the spring, is just continuing to gain in popularity. As these sons and daughters are hitting the yearling pins, they're just extremely impressive. He is a true performance sire, but he gets that performance without adding a ton of frame. They're right size. They're upper fives for frame score, maybe six at the most. So they get that from that added density and added muscle shape. And I kind of talk this bull that way is he's a little old school in that is he's a super big hipped, big boned, stout made, super good footed, purebred Simmental. And so he's kind of a perfect cross if you're wanting to put him back on some Angus cows and add a little performance, add a little more bone and a little more stoutness. Okay, the next one we're going to talk about is shift gears a little bit. As I just talked about a performance sire, we're going to talk about a purebred calving ease sire and point proven. And this is the bull that if you study the support photos, yes, he is showcase bull. This bull can create some show daughters, but this bull offers a lot more than that. He is a calving ease bull that's pretty proven now. But this is a maternal bull as well. These daughters are calving in right now, and the reports are very, very promising. The udder quality is very good. They have quite a bit of milk. The teat size and shape is perfect. This bull has some pretty famous cows within his pedigree that kind of help validate that maternal piece. And so this is another bull that we can kind of use on heifers for calving ease, add some extra eye appeal, but also make some cows out of them. Okay, I think got just a couple more bulls and the other breeds here. I'm just going to hit maybe I think on one Hereford bull, and that's the new bull in our lineup, Boyd Runway. Monument out of a Blueprint son. Monument's been a very popular sire within the Hereford breed. Blueprint is one of our competitor bulls that has been a popular calving ease bull that's made some nice daughters. And Runway is out of one of Blueprint's maybe best daughters. This is a bull that when you study him physically, he's not what you would expect from a calving east sire. He is super dense. He's super wide. He's got a lot of depth of body, a lot of extra shape to him, very structurally correct as well. A bull that from an EPD standpoint is very well balanced. He's a breed leader there for calving east direct, but still offers some extra growth. A bull that will add a little bit of milk as well and a little bit of marbling to go along with it. So just a really, really well balanced bull that we view as being a go-to heifer bull long term. Okay. gonna hit on one Charlet, and Charlet's not a big part of our lineup or our sales, but we're pretty fortunate to have one of the most popular Charlet bulls in our lineup, and that is historic. And actually ran into to several breeders from Canada, where this bull is originally from, that have freshened some of the first daughters here just this month. They showed me some pictures of their udders, and they were very impressive. Ideal teat size and shape, adequate milk with good udder attachments. And so if he can continue to do that time and time again, will be in good shape, because this bull is a true curve bender. He has a calving east sire that offers some extra growth. Little like I mentioned with Dutton, though, he does it without offering or without adding a bunch of frame. He gets it from that added density and depth and masculinity and extra pounds there as well. So a bull that excels for phenotype. He's super structurally correct. He's got good feet underneath of him. Really, really deep body, really soft made Charlet. Okay, that's all I have, Adam, for the bulls. The handful we kind of picked to talk about, but would be glad to answer some questions on some others. But we are here to help, so feel free to reach out.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. Um, if you were to pick one Red Angus bull, which bull would that be? In our lineup, that would be your favorite go-to bull right now.
It probably depends on what you want. You know, if you want a little more performance or a little more calving ease. But I'm actually going to go with a brand new bull in our lineup and in Top Secret. I think that this bull is going to have a bright, bright future. Just love how this bull is built physically in terms of a calving sire that has a lot of depth of body, a lot of correctness, some extra muscle shape, but also the outcross. The big thing in a lot of red pedigrees is, you know, we've kind of injected some black to get some outcross. This is one of those bulls that's outcrossed to most popular red pedigrees. So you can use him kind of across the board, no matter what base, cow base you have.
Okay, thank you. I guess right now then we will move on to the question and answer part. And the first question coming in here is Angus milk and claw meanings and good bulls. So some of these questions are kind of vague, so you're going to have to kind of piece it together with me. So I would dare guess they're asking about the milk and the EPD's claw, and what would be some good bulls that you would suggest to probably steer them towards.
Yeah, so claw would be one of those EPDs that we would like to select for kind of the extreme. Stay towards that upper end, you know, the top 25, top 40%. That with that selecting on that end of it, so that's actually a lower score for claw. So a point, you know, 0.2, 0.3, those scores would be towards the upper end of improving claw shape. So is what that would evaluate is, you know, how sharp their toes are versus how much curl they have. And as you go kind of down the scale or up in score, that would change. So if you're trying to improve claw shape, select for those bulls that are lower on claw in terms of, you know, 0.2, 0.3, somewhere in that kind of range, but the higher percentile rank. On milk would be kind of the same. If you're needing more milk, same thing. The higher the score, the more milk you're going to have. We find some outliers there, but it seems like we find a lot of bulls that fall kind of right in the 20s, kind of middle of the road.
Okay. Oops. All right. The next one, best way to differentiate between maternal and terminal sires in the lineup.
It's a good question. I mean, there's obviously the the EPDs and the indexes. You know, dollar M versus dollar B, or dollar C. Those would be more terminal. Your dollar M would be more maternal. So there would be your indexes, or you can do it kind of trait by trait too. Milk production, calving ease, maternal, mature height, mature weight, things like that would be all correlated to maternal. Um, One of the other things is just by pedigree too. We kind of talked, you know, of the maternal pedigree of easy decision, you know, of knowing some of those certain cow families that are kind of outliers there for maternal. If you're looking for more of a terminal standpoint, I mean, you can select for pretty much growth and marbling and ribeye. You know, carcass weight, weaning weight, yearling weight, average daily gain, marbling and ribeye. Bulls that excel for all of those sires would have a little more terminal endpoint to them.
Awesome. Kelly, you said we had one coming in from the chat.
Yep, we sure do. The question is, what Angus bulls would you recommend to increase API in sim Angus matings?
Little depends on how far you want to push the API envelope, but New Bull Grand Slam is one that will push that out there. Home Run is one of the top bulls. Fireproof. Actually, Cornhusker that we talked about is pretty high as well. I think he's over a 180, 190 API. So he'll help push that out there as well. Even Pursuit, I think, is in the 165, 170 range. So there's a handful of options anyway. One thing I have seen, we don't know on Pursuit and Cornhusker, for whatever reason, Fireproof seems to click really well on Simmental cows. Last fall, Irvin's here in Kansas, their top seller and a lot of their other high sellers were half bloods out of Fireproof. I was just in North Dakota at Keller's, and probably their two high selling bulls in the spring will be half blood Fireproof. So that bull does seem to click really well from a phenotype standpoint as well on Simmentals.
All right. Coming up on the next one here, calving in February versus March. I guess I can kind of take this one a little bit, but I mean, it depends so much on a person's situation. And Dan, I'm sure you can attest to this too, that it just depends on facilities and what you've got available to work with, and it's really a case by case scenario. What's your opinion, Dan?
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. Like if you've got the facilities to calve in February and can do it well. I mean, one thing we worry about down here in Missouri is February. Yeah, it might be snow and cold, but in March it's going to be mud everywhere. So just kind of finding the balance that works for you. But then also, for us anyway, don't push it too late that you're trying to AI in the middle of the summertime heat either.
Right. Yep. And that's me personally. I like calving about the 1st of January in through February and finish up first part of March, just because my thoughts with it is in that time of year, I only have to battle the cold. I don't have to battle the mud. And the cold I can deal with, but I've got a basement style barn that they come into, they calve into in there, and then they get moved out after that. So my situation, it fits, but like I said, not everybody. My next door neighbor, he calves out on the field, and so he waits until May. So
Adam,
yeah.
Adam, we've got another question here.
All right, go ahead.
It is, what is your impression of BAS Moneymaker Offspring?
Ryan, I'm going to let you take this one.
Yeah, I've seen a handful. I've actually got some of my own on the ground right now, and they are. He's kind of proven out like I thought he would. When we first acquired him, he was pretty extreme for both growth and calving ease. but if you study the bull, he looks more like a performance sire. And I think that's what you're gonna get. I think that there'll be calving in terms of calving on cows, maybe selective heifers, but they do grow. They're gonna have especially for an eagle son, they're gonna have some extra frame, some extra stretch, some extra hip to them. I would say, they're maybe average sometimes for body depth, and they might be with that extra muscle shape just a little rounder in that hip sometimes. But the performance is there. The other thing I would say is be cautious of the white. If you got white on the belly, white on the udder, he will put some white on the white socks on them.
Yeah.
But on straight black cows, simple snip on the head or solid black or blaze face there. And hopefully he's going to get going. We are kind of battling him right now in terms of production. That's why supply is tight or non-existent at the moment. But we're hopeful he'll get turn the corner here very soon.
Okay.
And then another question, bull related, the Imperial Simmental bull.
Yep.
What about his yearling and mature frame scores?
They're going to be pretty moderate. He's a calving ease maternal sire. They calve easy, and the daughters are really good. But he is going to moderate the frame, and they're going to be pretty moderate for growth.
Yeah, which his EPDs really reflect that too.
Yeah, and it's pretty consistent.
Yep.
I mean, you will not find probably 6 frame Imperial offspring. They're going to be 5.5 or less.
Okay.
But they're going to be docile. They're going to have good udders. They're going to be productive.
That can go a long ways. Let me see. So next one here, we're gonna skip ahead a couple. So genomic testing for beef. The main areas of focus for breeding for replacements, using sex semen in the strategy also. So
Well,
I would go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, I mean that's pretty open ended. I mean a little of I guess what I tell everybody is when I'm making herd visits, a lot of people will ask, well, what do I need to do different, or what do I need to select for? Well, I'm not sure that's my place to really say. I think you got to breed cattle that fit your environment, fit your goals, and fit what you want. So maybe we talked about some bulls early on that are pretty well balanced trait bulls. I think bulls that you can kind of use across the board, but I think you kind of maybe got to hone in on what's most important to you. Is it making mama cows that are perfect uddered, perfect footed, or is it making some cattle that go ahead and grade and yield out, or is it trying to push as much performance and pounds at weaning and additional average daily gain, things like that. I think it's kind of prioritizing what works and selecting cattle that work for your operation. So it's kind of a open-ended answer, I guess, but
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree with that too, Ryan. You can go work with customers, and 5 miles down the road from one, you can have one that's breeding strictly terminal, feeding out everything, finishing them, looking at quality grade performance, whereas the next person is looking at bringing back females because they may be generating females for the neighbor 5 miles down the road. So it's very specific to what every person wants. And the good part about AI is you can find those bulls available to do that as well.
So this one, I'm gonna put this one on you, Dan.
All right.
How to check heats in a pasture on beef cows, or your best strategy to get them bred when on pasture.
So, I mean, there's options there, I guess. If you want to check heats and breed cows off of heats, I mean, estrus detection aids, Estrotex, tail paint, tail chalk, things like that to help from an estrus detection standpoint. obviously you've still got to spend time out there with those cows too to find them in heat. Another option is a heat detection system. Cow Manager is a system that we market and works well. We just need to make sure you've got the coverage with our system, and you can visit with somebody more specifically about that if that's something you might be interested in. I guess a lot of time I spent in college and doing a master's degree was spent on doing fixed time AI programs. And there are sync programs out there that can help you get cows all inseminated on one morning and have pretty good success rates with it as well. And again, if you're doing your own insemination and have time for heat detection, have time to bring in cows when they come in heat, it works great. But if you're not catching those heats, it's not going to work out very well. Where a timed insemination or a short estrus detection time frame may be more beneficial for you. And again, depends on facilities, depends on your time, if you've committed there, or if you've got things taking you away from focusing on heat detection also.
All
We
right.
do have one more question coming in from the chat. So, and the question is around semen from the breeders. So maybe a non-CSS collected bulls. Are we exposing our Midwest cows to trick or Vibrio by doing that? So I think Ryan, we talked a little bit about some of those bulls getting collected and going out ahead of that. So open to you answering that question.
The probably political term or answer is yes, there's always that possibility, but there's a lot of non-CSS semen that gets used. We have actually even distributed a little bit ourselves. It's pretty unlikely. Now the ones that do come in like to us through that have non-CSS, the CSS testing process is very long. So those bulls that have come into us, even though we have some non-CSS available, those bulls have cleared initial testing in terms of they've cleared a lepto or lepto titer and cleared some of that initial testing. So there's always that possibility. I don't know, Dan can maybe answer this too. I don't know if anybody's ever really told me the percentage or the risk of that through frozen semen.
Yeah, I don't know that I could give you an exact answer on that either, but like Ryan said, the bulls that are coming into our facilities are going to be tested for the trick, for the lepto. It's like I said, it's the CSS process can be a long, drawn out process that can limit the release of bulls, the early release of bulls, to get through that process.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Moving on to the next one. This is kind of interesting to me, is I've heard that it's best not to keep a heifer's first calf that's a heifer. Is there any data supporting that idea? People have said that the heifer calf will have a small pelvis.
You want me to take this?
I'll take a stab at it first.
Whichever one of you thinks you know how to address that.
I'll take a stab at it, and Ryan can correct anything that I might mistake as well. But your best genetics are going to be that heifer out of a heifer. Yes, you're probably selecting it for calving ease because you want that heifer to calve easily and get a calf on the ground. But old data, I think, would say continuous selection for calving ease may reduce pelvic area. But that's when you're selecting for the extremes. If that is a concern, there is a pelvimeter that you can use to measure the pelvic area. But I would not say, like I said, your best genetics are those young animals out of those heifers. So don't pass up that opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree, especially in the world that we live in of AI. We AI more heifers than cows. So you've a lot of times on those virgin heifers and first calf heifers have multiple generations of AI genetic stack. So it should be your best genetics and newest genetics. And I think you just take into account the other factors of that 2-year-old mother, of what did she do through that first lactation? Did she raise one of the larger calves? Did the calf, you know, meet the standards of the rest of the herd? Did she have a nice udder, nice temperament, mothering ability, all those kind of things? You can make a pretty good judgment on that, even in just one lactation.
Okay. Oh, I've got one coming in from Drew. So as we've seen advances in AI technologies, this has to do with the sex semen. Is that resulting in increased conception rates when compared to conventional semen?
So the short answer is yes. I mean, with increase in technologies in sync programs, with modifications to sync programs, you look in our directory, there will be a page in there, I think around page 50 to 60, that has specifically sex semen protocols. Those are protocols that have done a lot of research to figure out what works best when using sex semen. The other protocols work as well, but those are kind of the ones that the research data says these are the best options when using the sex semen. So it's been an improvement in sync programs, but it's also been an improvement in the sex sorting process as well. So, what we used to have 10 years ago is not the same product that we have now from a sex sorted product. Some bulls, you'll still see a little bit of a reduction in fertility. Some bulls will be very similar in fertility compared to conventional semen. So, as like I said, as a whole, we continue to make improvements on both ends of that question, sync program and semen quality.
And
Okay.
I'll follow up just from a beef standpoint. Dan, you mentioned some bulls being just a little better than others for fertility. We a lot of times don't find that out till later on the beef side of things, because we don't get enough units out there like we do on the dairy. So that's something that, we don't necessarily know who's always the best ones until, we're maybe out of the product and we've sold 500 or 1,000 units.
Yeah. So we're going to keep kind of rolling with that, Dan. I'm going to kind of lump a few questions together here, talking about protocols and timing of sex semen. Kind of talk the differences, if you can, of do we want to time it different for conventional versus sexed, or what should we be doing there?
Yeah. So I guess going back to that, sex semen sync program page, all of those protocols say to use estrus detection and breed cows that are in heat, because with cows that are in heat, they are more fertile, whether you're using sexed or conventional. So if you're using a product that potentially could be a little bit lower fertility, using that sex semen on females that have shown heat is going to be your most opportune chance to get a pregnancy out of that. With the timing of that, if you can tell me the exact time she starts standing, I can tell you probably the exact time to breed her. But this time of year, when it's dark at 6 p.m. and it doesn't get light till 6 a.m., you have a wide window of when that cow could have come to heat overnight. On that page, it does say the opportune time is 16 to 22 hours, which is a little bit later than what we would normally say with conventional semen. But again, if you're out there at 6 p.m. tonight and she starts standing at 7 p.m., you get there in the morning and the patch is rubbed off, go ahead and put semen in her like you would normally the AM PM rule, unless you've got a better idea on that timing as far as when she started standing. That said, I mentioned the cow manager system earlier. That system has gotten to the point where we are getting more accurate and have a little toggle switch in there where you can click whether you're using conventional or sex semen to get you that more opportune time to perform that insemination, because it knows when that cow started standing from a specific standpoint. And it's better to get semen in that cow early than to be too late.
Yeah.
If you don't know exact timing, we sell semen, so put 2 straws in her. Put one in early, put one in late. It's trying to find that balance of when that opportune time is and when when she actually started standing.
Absolutely. Okay.
Dan, this
Yep.
is Scott here. Do you want to touch a little bit on the fact as to why they're recommending this? I mean, I don't think everybody understands the lifespan of the sperm cell, and I think that's what's really effective when it comes to this part of it. And if you could explain that to these folks.
I'll do my best, Scott. Yeah, I mean it's this, and I don't know that we know this 100%, but the idea is the sex sorted product longevity of it maybe isn't as long as what a conventional straw of semen would be. So it's trying to get that semen in there around the time of ovulation when that cow is actually releasing that egg. So I'm going to go do a little physiology on you. When a cow starts standing until the time she ovulates is about 28 hours. So from when you see her start standing, when you're saying breed at 16 to 22 hours, you're getting that semen in there kind of the more optimal time of when she actually will ovulate and release that egg. So it's trying to find, like I said, trying to find that balance of, maybe a little shorter semen longevity with sex sorted, but also trying to get it in there at the opportune time when that egg's going to be released. Semen lives in the reproductive tract for 28, 36, maybe 40 hours, depending on the bull. And then it will be there for a time frame, but just trying to get it there at the exact time, I guess, is what we're trying to do with the sex semen now, and the sync programs available.
So
Okay.
another question. Sorry,
Go
Adam,
ahead.
there's another question here.
Go ahead,
Are there any particular Angus or symbols that might be appearing to trend better than their EPD that you wish more folks knew? So are there any Angus or symbols that might be appearing to trend better than their EPD that you wish more folks knew about?
I think the first two, so the docility EPD. I think the first two that come to mind was one of them we talked about tonight was Point Proven. His score is not very good, but those cattle are pretty docile. And I think that'll probably change as we add more information. There's still plenty of genomic drag with that. And also probably the piece of where some of those initial offspring were used. It was probably used on the initial ones were probably on some show pedigrees that were not real shiny for docility either, and that goes into that factor. And then the other one, and Dan can probably chime in on this too, but the other one would be Saluda, a bull that I'm not going to say they're all puppy dogs and just your pets they're going to eat out of your back pocket, but that's a bull that's kind of hovered at or right below breed average. That most producers tell us there's not much issue, and that's a bull that without that kind of chink in his EPD profile would even see even more wide use because he does so many other things right from a calving ease standpoint with some growth, but maternal, high foot quality, and a high marbling bull too. That would be the Angus bull that would come to mind right away.
Yeah, I agree with Ryan on Saluda. I've used a lot of him in the last year, and from a progeny standpoint, I have yet to hear a customer say that there is a true docility issue there. The genomic EPD initially was low, seems to be trending in the right direction. Yep.
All right, if I can add to that too, even coming back into that red Angus side, the jump starts will just about steal your wallet out of your pocket. They're always next to you. I've had great luck with those. They're very docile animals. So, all right, moving on to next question here. I'll just throw this one up in the air. Should a breeder try to get one quality at a time fixed? For example, focus solely on fertility first. So who is the best in fertility? Or is it best to use a bull who is above average in many different areas, but he's not the best? So kind of, from what I'm reading on this, I would say, should we focus on extremes to try to fix our problems? Or do we focus more on what's optimum in those categories?
It's a good question. Had this discussion. I like I said, I was in North Dakota, and we had some customer meetings, and we talked about the new Angus teat nut or EPD, and kind of how it's a linear scale, and if you go one way, you're going to select for shorter teats, and one way you're going to select for longer teats. Same with udder depth or udder attachment. Um, if you have a major problem, selecting towards the extreme should correct it the fastest. So that's the answer, I guess, for that. I think long-term breeding strategies selecting for optimum. An optimum might be different for Dan versus me. It might be different for Adam. So selecting for your optimum over the course of a breeding program is always ideal.
Okay, do you think they should we focus more on just one or two traits, or try to find it balanced across the board then, Ryan?
Well, a little like I talked earlier, a little depends on your operation of what you're trying to do, what you're trying to hit. If I'm probably a purebred breeder on this call, I'm probably going to try to select for more balance in every trait, because my customers, different traits may be important to my different customers. But if I'm a commercial producer, I don't finish. Every animal hits the rail or enters the food system at some point, unless they die, obviously sooner. But so carcass value is important. But if I'm a cow calf person and I sell all my calves at weaning at the local sale barn, I probably don't need to look at focus on as many traits past weaning. I'm going to focus more on the maternal, the calving ease, and weaning. So it just kind of depends on what your scenario is.
Okay. I'm kind of rounding this out right now. So I know who this question comes from, and I know what he was trying to say. But so, what is more important, new EPDs or accuracy?
Once again, it depends on what's important to you. If you're chasing the newest trends and trying to push that envelope forward, the newest EPDs. I think anytime you can incorporate accuracy of any sort, whether it's a bull that's just having his first crop and it's calf reports, or they've got a calf crop on the ground, or it's a bull that's been in the lineup for 4 or 5 years. I think incorporating sires that have some proof and what they can do is always important when you're able to.
Yeah, and to kind of add to that is what I usually suggest for people is, the new genetics are great and we always need them. That it's a step forward, and we got to keep that progression going. But there's still a lot to be said for some proven bulls. I mean, you know what you're going to get. A lot of the guesswork's kind of been done on some of those, so you're kind of doing a balance on both of those. But as far as what's more important, yeah, Ryan, you said it best. It's kind of individual operation and what works for you. So, Kelly, is there any more that come in late here?
No, there aren't any more questions that you haven't already covered.
Okay. let me see the select series. Ryan, you want to inform everybody about that?
Yeah, so we started doing the select series videos during COVID, when we were unable to have producer meetings in person. So we wanted to come up with a way to still relay the information about the bulls and about different things within the industry. And we've kind of continued to do those over the last, I don't know if this maybe now is the sixth year, I guess. And so we started those 2 weeks ago, I believe. We release a new video every Tuesday on our social media platform, but then those videos then are stored on the website under the resource tab and under the select series, and you can actually go back and look at some of the past year's ones as well. But we do store those then on the website under the resource tab, and that's the selectsiresbeef.com website.
Okay. I guess, yeah, moving forward to that, I'd like to thank you guys for coming on tonight. Sure appreciate it. I'd like to remind everybody too, Michigan Beef Expo, February 20th through the 21st. I will be there at the Select Sires booth. We'll have a decent amount of semen on hand on some of the bulls, and a lot of the calf care products that we all believe in, we use on our own farms. I do as well. And if nothing else, stop by and talk to us. We love to talk about cattle. If you see Ryan or Dan out and about at a sale somewhere or on the road, it's the same thing. Chat with them for a little bit, pick their brain. We love this industry and like what we're doing. So,
Hey, Adam, I might mention one other thing. We do have the
Yeah.
early spring special going on till the 1st of March.
oh, yep, I skipped over that.
And I believe those flyers are on the website too, or you have them, but that you can take advantage of just a little extra savings till the 1st of March if it's on bulls you were planning to use.
Yep. And the other thing too is if you get with me and want to order this week, yeah, I can get an order in and have it to you available at Expo. The other thing too I skipped over is this product specials through CentralStar is 10% off of products, $300 total or more from February 1st to April 30th. So like I said, well, your calf coats, TriStart Junior paste, convert gel, colostrum replacers, all those things that, as far as I'm concerned, are essential to have on hand. Don't wait until the moment you need it to try to get it. There's a lot of difference between these products and what you can buy at TSC. So read your labels too. I encourage that. And if nobody else has anything, I would say that's a wrap. So again, thank you guys for coming on. Appreciate it. And thank you everybody for tuning in. We'll do another one of these next year. But like I said, don't be afraid to reach out to us. We're here to talk and help you out.